That's our main objective.
Question to Dr. Simon Lee. Thank you, Deputy President. There are views pointing out that the transformation of the energy structure is the foundation for Hong Kong's economic transformation and industrial upgrading, helps nurture new economic growth points, and that enhancing regional cooperation is an integral part of this process. Hong Kong's Climate Action Plan 2050 proposes increasing the share of zero-carbon energy in the fuel mix for electricity generation to around 60% to 70% before 2035. And the government has indicated that it will try out the use of new energy and enhance cooperation with neighboring regions. Regarding the enhancement of regional cooperation to promote the transformation of the energy structure, will the government inform this council? 1. As it is learned that to meet Hong Kong's future demand for zero-carbon energy, the government keeps planning ahead for the construction of electricity facilities to receive and process increased electricity transmitted to Hong Kong from other regions. Whether the government has engaged in regional cooperation with relevant energy departments in the mainland and with other cities in the GBA on matters such as zero-carbon energy, cross-boundary power exchange, and the use of the country's green electricity certificates. 2. Whether it has established a collaboration mechanism with neighboring regions for the authentication of the origin of zero-carbon energy supply, carbon emission audits, infrastructure coordination, and regulatory standards. If so, of the details and the progress. And 3. Whether it has established a mechanism to facilitate mainland low-carbon energy and hydrogen enterprises to invest in Hong Kong supply products or participate in local projects, such as by enhancing regulatory information sharing between the mainland and Hong Kong, and where risks are controllable, streamlining the appropriate procedures. Secretary for Environment and Ecology. Deputy President. Based on the four energy policy objectives of safety, reliability, affordability, and environmental performance, the government progressively promotes the transition of the energy mix and reduces carbon emissions so as to achieve the medium and long-term goals of net zero electricity generation as set out in Hong Kong's Climate Action Plan 2050. That is to increase the share of zero-carbon energy to about 60 to 70% by 2035 and achieve net zero electricity generation and carbon neutrality by 2050. Through gradually replacing coal with natural gas as fuel in electricity generation and importing more nuclear energy, carbon emissions in Hong Kong peaked in 2014 and reduced by more than a quarter in 2024 compared to the peak level. Currently, Hong Kong's overall fuel mix of electricity generation comprises less than 20% of coal, about 28% of zero-carbon energy, including nuclear energy and renewable energy, and over 50% of natural gas. In response to the member's question, our reply is as follows. 1 and 2. Hong Kong is a mountainous and small city which limits the development of nuclear, hydro, solar, and wind energy. Nevertheless, Hong Kong has brought the share of nuclear energy in the fuel mix to the current level of nearly 30% by importation of energy. Increasing the importation of zero-carbon energy will help stabilize electricity prices, enhance the resilience and stability of the electricity system, and facilitate the sustainable and high-quality development of the industries. To further increase the share of zero-carbon energy in the fuel mix of electricity generation, the government will focus on strengthening regional energy cooperation for importing more zero-carbon energy from mainland China in an orderly manner. Currently, CLP Power Hong Kong Limited imports zero-carbon energy through its Clean Energy Transmission System (CETS) connected to the Daya Bay Nuclear Power Station and the power network of the China Southern Power Grid. With the enhancements of the CETS completed in March 2026, Hong Kong will be able to gradually raise the share of zero-carbon energy in the fuel mix of electricity generation to about 35%. The government is also making forward-looking plans to deepen regional energy cooperation and actively align with our country's efforts to accelerate the development of a new type of energy system to achieve long-term goals of net zero electricity generation and carbon neutrality. The major work includes 1. Aligning with the national policy by importation of diversified zero-carbon energy. The 15th Five-Year Plan clearly states the requirement of accelerating the comprehensive green transition for the economy and society and opposing development of multiple energy sources such as wind, solar, hydro, and nuclear energy. The first 5-year Plan for Economic and Social Development of the Hong Kong SAR 2026 to 2030 public consultation document also puts forward the objectives of green and low carbon transition, as well as ceasing the use of coal for daily electricity generation progressively. The government will endeavor to implement the aforementioned strategy to import diversified zero carbon energy from mainland China, to continuously planning infrastructure and facilities for transmitting electricity to Hong Kong. To further enhance the capacity for receiving zero carbon energy, the government has reserved land in Chung Kwan O Area 132 for construction of strategic electricity facilities. The relevant government departments and the two power companies are discussing a plan to implement the relevant project. 3. Establishing collaboration mechanism with mainland Chinese counterparts. We are liaising closely with relevant counterparts to discuss a collaboration mechanism for promoting regional energy cooperation and jointly explore options of transmitting electricity to Hong Kong. Since the proposal is still under discussion, the government will make an announcement at an appropriate juncture. The country has also made considerable progress in terms of the source certification of renewable energy supply and carbon emissions accounting. China's green electricity certificates, GECs, issued by the NEA National Energy Administration, are the valid proof of the renewable energy attributes such as solar, hydro, and wind energy. Each GEC unit corresponds to 1,000 kilowatt hours of electricity generated by renewable energy and is valid for 2 years. To ensure that GECs would not be double counted, the NEA updates relevant information in real time and simultaneously with various trading platforms to record and store data related to issuance, trading, and write-off of GECs. As for carbon emissions accounting, there is a mechanism for calculating greenhouse gas emissions in a uniform manner. The National 15 5-year plan also sets out relevant work for promoting international mutual recognition of the rules and standards of carbon footprint. Looking ahead, we are also trying to promote GEC development and will examine ways to support expanding application scenarios in the international market to put green energy transition into practice on multiple fronts. 3. The government set up the Interdepartmental Working Group on using hydrogen as fuel in 2022 to coordinate preparatory work of bureaus and departments for using hydrogen as fuel locally. The working group reviews applications of trial projects on hydrogen as fuel, advises on different aspects. The working group has given an agreement in principle to a total of 40 applications of hydrogen energy trial projects, a number of which adopted the products and technologies from mainland China. The MSD and the State Administration for Market Regulation, SAMR, signed the cooperation arrangement on quality and safety management in December 2024 to establish a cooperation framework that covers different domains such as standard metering and conformity assessment, gas-related special equipment, machinery, household products, and energy-efficient labeling. There has been substantive progress, including one facilitating the application of a number of national standards in Hong Kong, laying the foundation for the recognition of mainland China's technical guidelines on hydrogen energy and related products in Hong Kong. 2. Designating hydrogen energy as a pilot area for deepened cooperation. 3. Promoting the application in Hong Kong of safety monitoring platforms for hydrogen energy equipment. And 4. Exploring data sharing and mutual recognition of hydrogen pressure vessel approvals between Hong Kong and mainland China to streamline relevant process. The SAMR indicated clearly at the International Hydrogen Development Symposium 2046 held in Hong Kong in May this year that further deepening of cooperation between mainland China and Hong Kong will be promoted in the next stage of collaboration. The government will continue to deepen cooperation with mainland China in the areas of low carbon energy and hydrogen and leverage unique advantage of our connectivity with the country and the rest of the world to provide enterprises with financial support and services. Dr. Simon LEE. In Hong Kong's Climate Action Plan 2050, it sets out a goal of by 2035, we should raise renewable energies ratio in fuel mix to 7.5 to 10%. Has the government made plans to have regional cooperation in this regard? Secretary. Dr. Simon Lee mentioned a goal that is set for the city on renewable energy, and we are encouraging solar energy to be used in Hong Kong. We are also encouraging government departments to install solar energy facilities to generate electricity. We also have some facilities that will convert waste to energy. This is going to be important infrastructure for supply of renewable energy. The member raised a question specifically on how we can have regional cooperation, especially with the mainland. As said earlier, we are discussing with the mainland how we can import zero carbon energy from the mainland to Hong Kong, and that would include nuclear energy as well as other forms of renewable energy. We do have an important principle in mind: safety, reliability, and affordability. We will continue to liaise with the mainland on this, on nuclear and other forms of renewable energy. For example, in the western part of China, they have hydro energy. Perhaps we can work with mainland China to import such energy because this kind of energy comes at affordable prices. We will make sure to match demand locally with supply in the mainland. We have 8 members wanting to speak. I would ask the Secretary to be succinct in his replies. Mr. Duncan Chu. Thank you, Deputy President. With the development of AI and supercomputing centers, we must develop new energy sources. In the reply, it is mentioned that we will import low carbon energy and hydrogen energy. Would the administration consider introducing new energy sources such as hydrogen and green methanol, and then we can convert them into electricity? Do we have some sort of development blueprint for energy sources? Secretary, we are not only considering such options, we already are piloting some relevant projects. We are working with power companies such as CLP Power to make use of hydrogen as a fuel. We have been actively promoting the use of hydrogen energy. We have some hydrogen energy generators in construction sites. We have been actively piloting different trial applications, and they are trial applications because we care much about affordability. If it is zero carbon energy, but it comes at exorbitant prices, we don't want that, which is why we are only piloting applications to make sure we are using zero carbon energy at affordable prices. We're trying to strike a balance. We will continue to seek out different options. Thank you. Mr. Jonathan Lamport. Deputy President, if we have to implement the goals of the climate action blueprint as well as the dual carbon goals of the country, I want to ask about the infrastructure in Area 132 of Tseung Kwan O and the cross-boundary power infrastructure projects can be taken forward with no unnecessary restrictions to ensure long-term energy stability for the city. Thank you. Secretary, for the Area 132 reclamation project, the project is taken forward by the Development Bureau and the CEDD. I believe they already have a development timetable. Our bureau is working with relevant units in the mainland to see how mainland's energy infrastructure can be connected to the infrastructure in Area 132. We have something planned already. We're discussing different details. Unfortunately, we can't disclose the specific details now. I'll perhaps stop here. Thank you. Mr. Ray Wong, we have a quarter of the power of Hong Kong coming from Daya Bay, and for the past 30 years, including nuclear energy, we have received very stable supply. But by 2035, we have to increase the fuel mix ratio to 60 to 70%. Do we have milestones set for cross-boundary zero-carbon energy importation? And do you have a timetable for relevant industries to tie in with the city's zero-carbon energy strategy? Thank you. Secretary, I actually mentioned this in my reply. There are two phases for relevant work. For the first phase, we are connecting the Daya Bay power station infrastructure to Hong Kong's power grid, and we have the CLP power having such importation capabilities. They have completed relevant works in March of this year, and it will be able to increase the zero carbon energy fuel mix ratio from 25% at present to 35%. And for the reclamation area in area 132 of Chung Kung O, in future we will have important power infrastructure of the city there. We are working with the mainland to connect Daya Bay power infrastructure to the facilities in area 132, and it should in future provide 35% of the energy needed by the city. So together they will make for 70% of electricity generated, and we hope we have a timeline to complete relevant projects by 2035. Thank you. Deputy President, Mr. Tommy Chung, does the Bureau have any plans to encourage and provide training to SMEs to respond to new demands in green standards and green energy in terms of international supply chain and trading? Would you consider providing financial incentives for carbon auditing, as well as helping facilitate consumption of local energy supply? Secretary, there are two parts to the members' question. For training, we have the VTC working with universities to provide training programs on, say, hydrogen energy, because we'll need some technicians or technical professionals in future. We also have some professional associations providing courses on carbon emissions accounting as well as carbon trading. So we're providing training through such channels. As for whether we'll provide incentives for cross-boundary carbon trading or carbon emissions related work, we are discussing with other authorities in the GBA to expand the voluntary carbon credit market in Hong Kong. We believe with a bigger market, it will bring about demand for professional services, financing, financial services in general. We're working hard on this. We hope to generate more demand, and we will be able to nurture more talent. Thank you. Mr. Wu Yingpeng. Thank you, Deputy President. I would first like to declare an interest. I'm a non-executive director for a mining company. I want to ask, under the National 15 5-year plan, we are trying to move away from fossil fuels, and we are trying to enhance our capabilities in receiving and dealing with zero carbon energy. How can we move to other energy sources? What are the specific plans of the Bureau? Secretary, we already have some goals and roadmap for reducing carbon emissions. We have the Climate Action Plan 2050, and there are specific goals set. By 2035, we will have our carbon emissions, and by 2050, we will achieve carbon neutrality. We are gradually reducing use of fossil fuels in Hong Kong. In 1997, we already ceased discussions on setting up of other power plants. We are moving towards LNG, and now only 20% of the energy is generated from fossil fuels. 1/4 is LNG and nuclear energy. By 2035, we will cease the use of coal altogether, and by then the ratio of zero energy will be raised to 60 to 70%. There is a clear timetable here. We are working with the power companies as well as relevant authorities in the mainland to implement the timetable and roadmap. We are already dealing with the specifics. Thank you. Mr. Jimmy Thank you, Deputy President. Methanol is actually very prevalent in mainland China. There are different applications, for example, new energy vehicles as well as power generation. But right now, importation to Hong Kong of methanol for non-maritime use is very weird at the moment. The government laboratory has to test every drop of methanol imported. Say if one is importing 50,000 tons, they would need to inspect everything. But before, they would not do this. They will only do random checks. So right now, for the government laboratory, will be charging 100% of the taxes on imported methanol. I know that the government is worried that they may be making counterfeit alcohol with this. But then I want to ask, is it really necessary to really test every drop of methanol? Is there any way to enhance relevant arrangements such as for taxation, testing procedures, and other relevant facilitation arrangements? Secretary, I do not have specific answers for the members' questions on hand. I will find out more and I will give a concrete answer to members.
Third question, Mr. Chang Ho Feng.